going to be showing you 4 different stitches that I've been using as I'm learning how to embroider. Those are some of the first things that I've done, and what you're going to need for this is an embroidery hoop, which is here. I have just a wooden one. I don't normally display in the hoops. I like to put them in the hoops just so I can better see where the fabric is woven together. You can unscrew it and lift the 2 pieces apart. A pair of tiny scissors. I don't have any white fabric on me, so I'm just using some basic scrap fabric to show you on today. And some embroidery floss. I have several different needles that I got from a pack from Michaels that are specifically made for embroidery. I'm using a size 9 needle, and I'm just prepping my fabric by putting it inside of the embroidery hoop, the side that I want facing up, which is the lighter side, just so you can see the stitching better. Put the top part of the hoop over top, screw it in together, and pull all of the fabric taut so that it's completely flat. I just use a pen to write down everything on the fabric that I wanted to embroider. It might be easier to use a pencil or a disappearing ink marker for this if you are doing it directly on something or if you're afraid that you're going to make a mistake. So first I have threaded this needle with just a pink piece of thread, tied it once at the end or twice at the end and once at the needle. Now starting from the back side, you're going to want to poke a hole. This is a back stitch, so you're going to poke it just slightly past where you think you would. From what I understand, the best way to do this is definitely to make these stitches about the length of a grain of rice. So once you poke it through slightly beyond where the beginning of the line starts, you're going to pull it right back through to the point where the line actually starts. So it's similar to a running stitch or a basic sewer stitch. Just you start further than what you intend and go back to where you would have started if you were doing a traditional stitch. It looks something like this once it's done. You'll notice towards the beginning I used a lot smaller stitches around the circles, and they definitely turned out better than if you use the longer stitch on the rounded ones like you see here in the E. The L and the O definitely look better than this E. So make sure that when you're doing those, you're using, going around curves, you're using smaller stitches. This next one is, I believe, a stem stitch. Now the way that this one works is I'm starting at just slightly to the side of the line, and you're going to want to make a basic stitch. Then go back and slightly off to one side of that first stitch, pull it through, and then continue sewing in this way. And the effect that this gives the embroidery is something sort of rope-like. As you can see, since it's just slightly off to the side, it almost looks twisted together. And I believe it's called a stem stitch, as this is commonly used to make stems when embroidering flowers. And this next one is a split stitch, and it's actually very similar to the stem stitch, but there's just a slight variation. Be patient with your thread, make sure you pull it through. If it gets stuck, it will come through. So start off with your regular stitch, and then what you're going to do is you're going to poke up and through in between the stitch that you've already made. So as you can see here, I'm just going to focus this up quick, and it's actually in the middle of the stitch, and it's splitting it into 2 parts. So once you pull that through all the way, you're going to complete the next stitch and just continue that process all the way around. Now I love this stitch, it's definitely my favorite, and here's why. You can easily, make changes if something has happened. For instance, here you saw that the stitch was a little outside of where I intended, so I was able to put in the thread at a different angle and pull it over to the point of the curve that I wanted it to be at. It gives a really sweet braided effect, and definitely my favorite of the stitches that I am showing you here. The last one is your basic running stitch. This one leaves a little bit of space in between each of the stitches, so it definitely looks more handmade. It's definitely the easiest, and it takes the least amount of thread. Either way, that's everything I have for you today. Thanks for checking this out, and don't forget to like and subscribe so I can see you in my next video. See ya!